Hello, everyone. This is Mr. Martin. I'm going to walk you through today our next project, or how to get started on our next project. With our next project, we are going to be looking at the first video game that was ever created and sold to the public, and that is, of course, Pong. So, those of you that don't know Pong, I'll show you an example right now. So, Pong is the simple tennis game where you have a ball and two paddles going back and forth, trying to get the ball past the other person. You can see I'm quite terrible using the keyboard on this. Wow, this is easy mode too. Man, that's embarrassing. You're going to design this yourself. Now, with any game, you have to look at the different elements in here that we need to add to it. So this game, Pong, has a few different things. Pretty simple and something we should be able to do on Scratch pretty easily. What we have are two paddles. They're hitting a ball that is moving at what seems to be random, but it's actually a little more specific than that. We also have a net in the center. We also have a scoreboard on the top. Hey, I'm winning. Go me. To get started, you're first going to log into Scratch. And please don't forget to use the Scratch login that is connected to our class page. You go ahead and click on Create. Now, we're not going to do all of it today. We're going to get started really with just getting the sprites set up and getting a background of our screen here, and then getting the ball to start moving in kind of the direction that we want it to go. So again, here is Scratch. We have our canvas on the right. We have our sprites on the bottom right. We have our work coding area in the center. And we have Scratch here. We actually have to delete them because we're not going to use Scratch. So go ahead, in the bottom where all the sprites are, you're going to click the garbage can and you're going to throw Scratch into the garbage. Now, all we have right now to code is the backdrop. The backdrop is solid white, which is kind of boring. So we're going to actually change that up a little bit. So we are going to click on backdrops, and we're going to change the color of the backdrop. Now, first thing we have to do is convert this to a map type file, which is going to allow us just to use a paint bucket to fill in the entire image. We're going to decide on the color that we want. In reality, the color you pick here doesn't matter. I'm going to go with just a black background, kind of like the original Scratch game was. Give it a little grayish, I think, tint to it. I'm going to click with the paint bucket and fill it in. I like this kind of solid gray background. Click on Back to Code. So now to get started, we have to get all of the objects we need into the game. First thing we need is the ball. So again, we're going to click in the bottom right corner here where we see the icon of Scratch with a little plus sign, and we're going to choose a sprite. And you have, at the start of it, a ball. And we're going to go ahead and use that. We're going to click on it. We're going to add it. I'm going to shrink the size of them down a little bit. Let's start them at 60. So that's in the size box. Just type in the number 60. Look at his costumes and see we have some options on colors as well, if you wanted to change those. Again, I'm going to convert mine as well. I'm going to try like the original game had. It's just kind of a solid white color. Oh, paint bucket's not really working here. So let's go ahead and forget that. We'll stick with yellow for now. Maybe I'll change it to a white kind of square later. We have that. We need the paddles on the side. Again, select your sprite icon here. Click on the magnifying glass. This time, instead of looking around for it, we're going to do a search. We're going to type in the search box, paddle. There it is. We're going to add it. We're going to drag that one to the left. We're going to go back to a search again. And you're going to add paddle a second time because you need two paddles in this game. We're going to move this one to the right. We're going to rename them. This one that we moved to the left, we're going to go up here to the sprite name. We're going to call that left paddle. And the one that's on the right, instead of paddle 2, we're going to rename it to right paddle. That's just going to help us tell them apart and not be confused with which one we're trying to code here. Also going to want to move these paddles around a little bit because right now they're not facing the correct direction. So we are going to go to costumes again. And we're going to click on the selection arrow. We're going to select the object. You can kind of see there's a little double arrow right there. I use that to rotate them. Now it's not exact. It doesn't give you a number, so you can rotate it perfectly 90 degrees. So you just have to kind of eyeball it when it looks straight up and down. Go ahead and let it go. I'm going to change the color of my paddle. And I'm going to move brightness up, saturation to 0. So I have a solid white, and then I'm going to change my outline to the same thing. I'm going to make solid, well, where are you? Oh, come on. Why isn't it changing it to white? Let's try the paint bucket. Nope. There, oh. There it is. Use the paint bucket. That worked. Well, let me change the outline. Then we're going to click on right paddle. Do the same thing. Paint it to white. Using the paint bucket, which appears to be easier. Grab the selection tool. Select. Rotate it. So it looks like it's about perfectly straight up and down. Voila. And go back to code. So we now have a ball and we have 2 paddles. So we need to get the ball moving and bouncing. So now that we're ready to start the gameplay and to get the stuff moving, we have to find an event. So something has to kick off the code and tell it when to start. So on the left, you're going to click events, drag in the flag. So we're going to use the flag as our start button. Then we're going to get it to start moving. That's under motion. We're going to try to move it for 10 steps. Now if we started it, oops, oh, hold on, let's get these out of here. See what I did there. I'm going to go to ball. Make sure you're coding on the ball. I was on the paddle still. Get our event block. When it's clicked, go to our motion and move. So right now, it only moves when I click start. We need the ball to continuously move. So like we did before with our drawing of shapes, we need to use some control blocks. We need that ball to always be moving. So around the move, we're going to put a forever loop. So now it's going to move forever. As you can see, when I press that, it only moves in one direction. It's only moving to the right 10. To add a little more to it. So under motion, I'm going to scroll down a little bit. We're going to do if on edge, bounce. So now when you start it, anytime it hits an edge, it bounces back the opposite direction. You can see it's a good start, but still pretty boring because it's just going in one direction. So we're going to change it. Also under motion, we have a point in direction block. We're going to bring that up. We're going to try it at 45 degrees. Now when you click it, it's going to point in 45 degrees, which is kind of up to the right. And then forever, it's going to move and it's going to bounce. And then if you stop and do it again, it keeps going. Now the other thing we want to make sure is after every time that somebody scores, we want to move the ball back to the middle. So we're going to go use our go to block. So this is go to XY. We're going to change it to X0, Y0. Which is the origin, or if you're looking at graph paper, it's the exact center. We'll move it. And we'll start it again. Moves to the center. It's not bad. we notice happens is it always starts in the same direction. So we're going to add a little randomness to this. To do that, we're going to click Sensing. Oops, I'm sorry, I mean Operators. We're going to pick, instead of 0.45, we're going to pick a random direction. I'm going to pick between 45 and 135. So that's either up to the right or down to the left. If I go, sometimes it goes straight, sometimes it's down, sometimes it's down but not as much, sometimes it's up that direction. So it gives it a little variety of where it is going to go. So now we have a bouncing ball, we have 2 paddles, and the ball that is continually moving and bouncing off the sides. Next time, we're going to work on adding movement to the paddles, and then adding a little bit of scorekeeping. But I will first need to grade and make sure you've done this correctly. So after you've done this much, you're going to go up to the top here. Pay attention to this because a lot of you have been doing this wrong. You're going to name your project, your name. We're going to call this Pong version 1. And you're going to hit share. Again, just clicking share does not do anything. It does not give me access or a link to your project. As I've said before in all my other videos, the next step is what gets you a grade. So after you've hit share, you're going to click Add to Studio, and then you'll select the one that says Pong Studio. That is the one that is going to let me see your work. If you don't click this part, it's not going to work. I don't see your file. I don't see your work. You don't get a grade. You have to click Add to Studio. Make sure you do that. Next time, we'll add other features onto our game and slowly start making it better, and then give you the opportunity to customize it and change it a little bit. Please get this in by the end of the day Friday. Talk to me if you have any questions, and please, as always, don't forget to like or subscribe.